live to talk about autism. If you're an autism parent, if you suspect that your child might be diagnosed with autism, or if you think you may be diagnosed with autism, you are in the right place. We are here to speak. We are here to connect, to build a village, to answer questions, to do all that we can to spread awareness and proper, correct information around autism, shut down misinformation around autism, and to answer people's questions. So this is perfect if you're an autism mom, an autism dad, if you suspect you may have autism, or even if you're just a family member or you have a loved one with autism, or if you just want to learn about it. Maybe you're a professional. This is the place for you. So my name is Kylan. I live in Utah, and we're just barely getting started today. We are going to be going live for probably the next 2 hours or so. Oh, thanks, Brooklyn. And we are making sure that that autism is addressed properly, that misinformation is not being spread. Please be tapping on that screen. It does get the word out to more people. As soon as we get to 20,000 likes, we go live, or we go through the autism news of the day. And Little Luke, do you recommend any book about autism? Well, funny enough, I'm about to release, it's not a book, but it's a free ebook. And Brooklyn, are we going to be able to get that out today? What do you think? We might have it today. Hello, Eloise. Good to see you. Be tapping on that screen, you guys. Thank you all for being here. I'll give a little bit of an introduction of what we're doing here. So I'm an autism dad. I have 2 children diagnosed with autism. And I'm also a board-certified behavior analyst. And so I have been working with people with autism since 2013. I currently am the CEO of a company in Utah that provides services to people with autism. And so this is not just something that I think about on occasion. This is my life 24/7 is autism. And I know many of you autism parents are the same way. And so we go live on a daily basis. We talk to each other. We support each other. Be tapping on that screen because we do the autism news of the day on a daily basis as soon as we get to 20,000 likes. Good morning, Lexi. Hopi, you have autism. I love to hear that. That's amazing. Brooklyn is not sure if we'll get the ebook out today. We'll be close. Maybe after Brooklyn, maybe after I go live, you can take over for a bit. We'll see. All right, you guys. We also are live over on the YT platform. I can't say the name on here, or else we do get punished. But I will. I do read more comments there than I do on my TikTok. Just because you're more likely to have your question read there because it's a lot slower, a lot quieter. So feel free to hop over there if you'd like to. Over there on the YT platform, hey, I got my son tested and they said he does have autism. How likely is it they would misdiagnose? He's 3. What if he was just being a kid? I feel so overwhelmed. The criteria to diagnose autism does not, or it factors in kids just being kids. Your child is autistic. And you're right, it is overwhelming. And take a minute to breathe because we don't know what that means. You don't know what that means. The most stressful part about this and the reason we grieve is because when we hear a diagnosis of autism, that tells us that there's a 1 in 4 chance that our child's going to be profoundly impacted by autism, that they're going to need 24/7 care. And that can be overwhelming to hear. But you also need to be aware it is not a death sentence. It is not. It does not change who your child is. Whatever level they assign to your child, just know that that's not a prediction of what your child is capable of. And now is the time that you get to dictate what you are going to do to support. My recommendation to you is now that you have clarity, you have a diagnosis, don't spend any more seconds questioning the diagnosis. Instead, put all of your time and effort into supporting your child. And what does that look like? Well, it looks like building up the care team for your child. that can include occupational therapy, speech therapy, ABA therapy, and mental health therapy. So consider those. Okay, we do have a question. When do you think L179 medication will get FDA approval for autism? Well, first of all, we don't know if it will. It's an exciting prospect, but it's still very early on in research. I am excited about it. I am really excited. It's the first medication that would be prescribed to specifically help with the social aspects of autism, and it's looking promising, but it's very, very early. So if you're excited about it, what I recommend is that you look into participating in clinical trials. All right, you guys, who do we have here today? Where are you from? I want to get a list of the states that you're from, or the countries. Are we worldwide today? Are we represented all throughout the nation, all around the world? Put the state that you're in. Let's see. Iowa, Texas, Spain. Oh, Maria, that's amazing. UK, Florida, Oklahoma, Los Angeles, Texas, Tennessee, New Hampshire. Hey, we're just about everywhere, you guys. We are just about everywhere. Thank you all for being here. If you are new here, just know that this is a safe place. It's a judgment-free place. And the way that we structure it is usually I answer questions, talk to the chat until the autism news of the day. We go through that. We'll jump back into answering questions. And then about halfway through the stream, we switch over to bringing people up and letting you ask questions on the live. And so stick around and you'll be able to hear what other people are going through. You can be putting your questions in the chat, and then also later in the live, you can request up. So Arizona, amazing, you guys. Thank you all for being here. 1, 2, 3, you're in Midvale? Amazing. I'm in Utah as well. I live down in Santaquin, but I end up traveling all over the state. Okay, Grupo says, if it's a spectrum, does that mean everyone has a touch of it? No. Nope, that's not what it means. It's not a spectrum that everybody falls on. It's if you have the diagnosis, you fall somewhere on that spectrum. I'm not judging people who ask this because it's a fair question. You hear people talk about that a lot. But when you tell someone, especially if you tell a parent and they have a child with autism and you say, oh, look, he's beautiful. I think everyone has a little bit of the tism. Everyone's a little autistic. That can sound very dismissive of the real struggles that person is having. That's like saying like everybody is a little bit pregnant. Okay? It's just not true. Not everyone is a little bit pregnant. Not everyone is a little bit autistic. It doesn't work that way. How common is it that people go undiagnosed? Very common. Guys, there are so many people living in the world right now who are undiagnosed. And this happens specifically because we're a lot better at catching it now, and not very many people go missed. I still believe that there are many who do, but the reason that so many people were missed is because the diagnosis as we know it today didn't exist until 2013. And so these adults that have always felt like they've had a hard time socially and sensory-wise, that their whole life they've struggled, but they didn't meet the criteria for autism when they were a child because only those most profoundly impacted were diagnosed. And so now we have a lot of adults starting to get diagnosed. Okay, what other questions do we have, you guys? What other questions? Also, I'm going to ask you guys share the live too. I don't usually ask that, but it does help get the word out. Miles says, can you diagnose yourself? No, you cannot, but you can take screeners. And so linked to my bio is my recommended first step. And that is, oh, thank you all for sharing the live. Oh my gosh. Y'all are incredible for reals. My recommendation, if you suspect your child is diagnosed with autism, if you suspect you have autism, is to take a screener first. That cannot diagnose autism. These screeners do not diagnose autism. But Real just brought up, I always felt the way you just explained, I got 27 on your RADS test. Okay, so the RADS test is, so the RADS 14 is a condensed version of the clinical tool, the RADS. And this condensed version, the RADS 14, is validated. And anything over a score of 14 is clinically valid to suspect autism and recommend speaking with a psychologist. You can bring that score to them; they'll understand what it means, and but then they do their evaluation. That doesn't diagnose it, so you can't diagnose yourself. Okay. Oh, Lana says we got recommended for a trial for Alzheimer's medication with autism. Do you know anything about it? Oh, I don't. This isn't the L179, is it? I didn't think that was a Alzheimer's medication, but okay. Hello. Oh, Ella Bella got 34 on the RADS. Oh my goodness, yeah. See, that's clinically significant. Anything over 14 is clinically significant. Are there studies correlating environmental factors with autism? Junkie Duncan, thank you for asking that. Whoa, thank you, Glam. Oh my goodness, that was cool. Okay, so there are environmental factors. However, we know it's largely genetic. And what that means is about 80 to 90% of autism is coming from your genetics. And it's polygenic. It's not just one gene that we're talking about here. It's a bunch of genes that kind of factor into each other, but there are environmental factors that also play into it. However, every single environmental factor happens during pregnancy. And so these environmental factors, or during birth, and so these environmental factors include things like exposure to toxins or pollutants, like air pollution, specifically that coming from automobiles, wildfire smoke, and pesticides. We also know that parental age is an environmental factor, that the age of the parents impacts the likelihood of having autism. Specifically, if the man is over the age of 40, they're more likely to... the child is more likely to have autism. Hey, Glam CEO, thanks for sharing. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud. I am so proud of Matai. That is amazing. I love that. America says, can a 3-year-old be super talkative but still be autistic if other symptoms shows? Yes. So the ability to communicate is not the only symptom, and that can look differently. So there's 2 general categories of diagnostic criteria, and a bunch of things fall under each one. One is social, and that's things like communication, relationships, looking at social norms and understanding context and nonverbal cues. And it doesn't have to be every single one of those that they meet. And so they can be fully communicative, yet still struggle to understand sarcasm, still have a hard time building relationships, not pick up on social cues, things like that, and still meet that criteria. And then the other aspect is more the sensory side of, wanting routine and sameness, being overstimulated or so hyper-reactive or hypo-reactive to sensory input, and repetitive behaviors. So. All right, you guys, let's keep these questions going. We have a lot of people on here. This is great. Thoughts on the MMR vaccine? Should I spread them out or get them all at once? You should do whatever your pediatrician recommends. We don't give medical advice here, but what I can say is that there is nothing with the MMR vaccine that is even correlated with autism. There are anecdotes that people feel like their child got the vaccine and then they got a fever and then they just never came back and they were never themselves. And I don't want to invalidate people's experiences, but I also want to make it very clear that the regression that people see in that situation, it happens whether or not people get diagnosed with autism at equal rates, or it happens if whether or not someone gets vaccinated equal amounts. And so MMR vaccine or any vaccine has 0 correlation to autism. Okay. My sister was diagnosed with autism, and some people say I have like signs of autism. How likely is it? Cam, that's a good question. So, if you have a sibling diagnosed with autism, you have a 20% chance of also being diagnosed with autism yourself. However, having one or two signs of autism, if it's not impacting your daily life, if it is not up to the point of meeting the diagnostic criteria, then it is not. It wouldn't count, and you would not be diagnosed with autism. For example, when I have two children diagnosed with autism. I haven't introduced myself here in a moment, but I have two of my own children diagnosed with autism. I'm also a board-certified behavior analyst. I do ABA therapy for a living, and I'm a CEO of Autism Services Company here in Utah. And when my child was diagnosed, my first child, it caused me to reflect on myself. I know it's genetic. That doesn't always mean that the parents are autistic, but there is that chance that we are. And so it made me look at myself, and I saw, I do have some neurodivergent traits. I stim sometimes. Right now I tend to hold. I don't know if you guys know this, but while I talk, I like moving my fingers around. It feels regulating to me. But a lot of people do that. That's pretty common. I've taken a bunch of screeners, and I don't feel like I meet the criteria. I have never scored a significant number to indicate that I have autism. So you can have autistic traits. That doesn't mean you're a little bit autistic. Those are two different things, okay? I'm here for the party. Says, do you also have training in Asperger's? Okay, so good question. Asperger's is no longer a diagnosis. It was removed in 2013, and it is now level 1 autism. So good question. Good clarification there. Leucovorin thoughts for toddlers that haven't been diagnosed yet, please. Okay. First, if I want to know who's in here, I'm going to address this question about leucovorin. But if you are an autism parent or you suspect that your child is autistic, put 1 in the chat. Put 2 in the chat if you are autistic or you suspect you may have autism. Put 3 in the chat if you're just here observing, just here learning. Maybe you're a professional. 1, 2, or 3. For those of you who put 1 and you're an autism parent, you've probably been hearing about leucovorin. Yeah, we have a lot of all of them. Thank you all for putting those in there. Okay, if you've been hearing about leucovorin, I'm sure. It is folinic acid. And the theory behind it is that one thing that may be impacting autism is folinic acid accessing the brain. And so this was a theory that's been tested, and they've done 5 randomized clinical trials that have been published, one of which has been retracted, the largest of which. The 4 remaining, the results are mixed. FDA has not approved the widespread use of leucovorin. They have approved it for this very rare genetic condition that impacts likely under 300 people in the entire United States. But they have not recommended it or approved it for people with autism or those who indicate they have antibodies signaling the folate receptor deficiencies. Are there any supplements that actually help? Okay, so if you are diagnosed with autism or your child is diagnosed with autism, there are no, by default, there are no medications, there are no diets, there are no supplements, there are no detox protocols that simply because your child is autistic, you need to worry about. That is not where your focus needs to be. There are a lot of detox protocols out there. There's a lot of supplements out there. Influencers will link them in their bio and tell you that it changed their kid's life. There's tests out there like the oat test that you do online and order it online. You pay a few $100 and then they tell you what supplements your child needs. None of that has been shown to address autism symptoms. And and pediatricians don't typically recommend that. And so that is not where your focus needs to go. Brittany says there's medications that can help with symptoms like aggression. Of course, prescribed through your pediatrician or a doctor. Absolutely, there are some medications that can help with certain symptoms that you should be talking to your doctor about. Absolutely. It is genetic. Yep, it's 80 to 90% genetic. My wife and I don't have anyone with autism in our family. Good question. How does our child have autism if we don't have anyone with autism in our family? How is that genetic, right? If you don't, well, let me give you my thoughts. First, it might not have been inherited directly from you or your spouse. It doesn't mean that you or your spouse or a family member has autism. What it means is you had genes which are correlated with autism, the way the brain develops. But the way that the genes play out are not always consistent. And so, yeah. All right. My son was prescribed fluoxetine and isn't aggressive, but became violent. And sertraline, no. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so medications, absolutely keep considering. We have another comment over here on the YT platform. My daughter just got prescribed risperidol. I read about it, and I'm scared to give it to her. I was told to try magnesium glycinate instead. Any advice? Who told you to do magnesium glycinate instead? What I recommend is if you have doubts about risperidol and it was prescribed by your pediatrician and you're worried about their expertise with autism, you can absolutely either go to a psychiatrist who can prescribe medications or a developmental pediatrician. But what I don't want you to do is take advice from people online on what medications to give or not give for your child. Please consult with the doctor. What are your opinions on methylfolate drops? They don't address autism, and don't waste your money on it. Let's see. Developmental pediatrician definitely will help. Yes. Yes. All right. My son, his eval came back. He didn't meet autism criteria. That's a good point, you guys. When you go and you get an evaluation, you are not going to try to get diagnosed with autism. That is not the goal. Anyone who goes with a goal of getting diagnosed with autism doesn't have the right mindset. We go to find clarity. And it might not be autism. There may be autism symptoms, but it doesn't meet the current definition of autism as it's outlined. And so please keep that in mind. And you don't need to fight for an autism diagnosis. You need to fight for clarity. Now, if you feel like clarity has not been found, that the diagnosis given doesn't explain your child or give you the clarity you need, then you can go for more opinions. But please be cautious about going to try to get or have your hopes up that your child does or that you do. That you don't have a goal of having autism. You just want clarity. What's your opinion on melatonin? Well, let me give you my opinion by asking this question. If you have autism or your child has autism and they have a hard time sleeping, put sleep in the chat. Put sleep in the chat if there are issues with sleep in your home with those who are autistic. I can tell you right now, my son sure does. So look at this. We have so many people who are putting sleep in the chat. Thank you so much for commenting, you guys. And so my thoughts on melatonin is, first, don't take advice from people on the internet, even like me. Take advice from your doctor, and they're going to know the specifics about your child. However, melatonin is often one of the first things you can try beyond like behavioral strategies to get your child to sleep. And so my 3.5-year-old with autism, he takes melatonin every night, and it helps him. It does wonders. Let me explain what I mean by addressing it behaviorally. So my child, we have a light in his room that turns red at 8 o'clock at night, meaning it's time to stay in bed. It's bedtime. And then as soon as it turns green at 7:30 a.m., he can get out of bed. And he has learned that if he gets up out of those times, we put him back into bed. So behaviorally, we have addressed it. However, his body, that doesn't mean he's going to sleep. And so there are times where he would stay in bed for 4 hours and not sleep. It's not a behavioral problem at that point. And your child's not going to show progress. They're not going to make the progress in communication and their skill development if they're not sleeping. And so absolutely talk to your doctor, your pediatrician, about melatonin, about magnesium is a good option. If those aren't working, clonidine is sometimes recommended, but your doctor needs to recommend that. Alexander says, is autism easier to see in boys or girls? What do you guys think? Put it in the chat, you guys. Is autism easier to see in boys or girls? Sherry says, all non-speakers use telepathy. Go watch telepathy tapes free on YouTube. No, they don't use telepathy. All right, you guys. So between boys and girls, typically boys are caught more often than girls. That autism is noticed in boys more than it is in girls. Now, this is pretty significant. We're talking about 1 in 20 boys are diagnosed with autism and 1 in 70 girls are diagnosed with autism. Boys are about 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with autism. So why? Why is this? Well, there are a few theories behind this. I'm going to point to 3 things that are contributing to this. The first is the criteria for autism was studied and developed to evaluate autism in boys. When they first evaluated autism, they were looking at boys. The second thing is that girls, there is research to show that girls mask earlier. Now, what that means is girls may change how they behave to fit into social norms despite what their body wants to do, which can make it harder to identify autism. Now, why does that happen? Well, that's another question. I've read research articles that suggest that this happens because we put societal pressures on girls beyond what we put on boys. You hear quite often, boys will be boys, right? A boy is running around, he's acting crazy, he's doing a bunch of harmful things, he's hurting other people. Oh, he's just a boy. But a girl does that. Well, that's not ladylike. We got to teach her to not do that. And so that is something that has been documented in research, noting the societal differences in the expectations that are on boys and on girls. But I have also read research articles, one just came out, proposing a genetic difference between how autism manifests in girls and boys. That the X chromosome, the XX chromosome in a girl, provides additive protections against autism. And so that is still theoretical and not replicated. And so just something to consider. But you should know the big thing here is let's stop missing girls with autism. Let's make sure that we're paying attention even to those who are masking. All right, everybody. We're at 17,000 likes. As soon as we get to 20,000, we go through the autism news of the day. So be tapping on that screen, you guys. I do go live on a daily basis. If I am missing your questions and you want to ask a question, please hop on over to the YT platform. It moves so much slower over there, and I do read right now every single comment that goes on over there. Okay. What do you feel about Asperger's syndrome being lumped in with autism? So it was very clear that the symptoms matched up. So that it all fell on the same spectrum, and they differentiated by levels. I think it was good, but I do think there's a lot of people diagnosed with Asperger's that felt like it was harmful to be lumped into autism. I also think there are people who have more profound autism and needs, and they felt like their needs were minimized by being included with those with lower support needs. And so, you can't really win or make everyone happy, but it is very clear that there are commonalities between the features of more profound autism and Asperger's. So it definitely was the right thing and recommended by the research. Do you think vaccines contribute to autism? Nope, they don't. All right, you guys. We hit the 20,000 likes, you guys. It is time for the autism news of the day. All right. This is going to be interesting to a lot of people. I want to know people's thoughts on this. This was published 2 days ago, but it's been something I've been talking about for a while now. This is from The Independent. What is profound autism? The new diagnosis under consideration. There is currently a recommendation made commissioned by the Lancet. These are international experts that have proposed a new category of autism. This is not official, but it is an official professional expert recommendation to separate and create a new label called profound autism. This category applies to autistic people aged 8 and over who have little or no language, an IQ below 50, and require 24 hours supervision and support. So how common is that? How common is profound autism? Well, a recent study found that 24% of autistic children met or were at risk of meeting the criteria for profound autism, a proportion consistent with international findings. And so let me tell you what this would mean. So what this would mean is they would still have autism as a spectrum, but then after the age of 8, they can have a separate diagnosis called profound autism. And this is after the age of 8. If their IQ is below 50, they don't have much language, and they require 24 hours supervision, they would be diagnosed with profound autism. What the hope here would be is that it could identify people who needed more support and need continued services. There is a risk, however, that service providers would use this as a way of filtering out people who do not need or who they say don't need services. So my concern with this, one concern is that if you have the separate diagnosis, too many people or insurance companies would say, no, I don't want to pay for their ABA therapy unless they have profound autism. And if accommodations or services or therapies become restricted to only those with profound autism, that could lose support. However, if all this does is increase support for those with profound autism, I'm all for it. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. All right, everybody. It's a big concern. That's a big deal, you guys. That, to me, that's the only downside of this is those who don't meet the criteria of profound autism, are they going to be losing support or services? And if that is at risk at all, I would be very concerned about this. Okay, I saw someone say that I lost them when I said so confidently that vaccines don't cause autism. I'm curious your thoughts on that. Do you want me to rephrase that in a politically correct way? There is zero indication among dozens of studies that have researched millions of children that there is any correlation or indication that vaccines are even correlated with autism. Is that a better way of saying it? I have it linked in my bio. This isn't a controversial thing. Obviously, it's not scientific to say, I know 100% that this doesn't cause this, because you can't say that about anything. Just like I can't say, oh, I'm 100% sure that gravity isn't going to fail tomorrow. I can't say that, but I can look at the data of every single day throughout history and how things work that's not going to happen. All right, you guys, let's keep on going with some of these conversations. You seem to be closed-minded. Oh, I love new research. Send me any research. I love seeing it. Absolutely. Hello, Destiny. It's good to see you. All right, you guys, keep on putting those questions in there. Have you listened to the Telepathy Tapes podcast, which delves into spelling by non-speakers? Sherry, I have. I have listened to it, and I've watched the videos, which are behind a paywall. And I need to tell you something about spelling to communicate. Their whole premise of, like, we need to assume competence is a facade for taking away children's voices. Spelling to communicate, how it's implemented, is a variant of facilitated communication. And the question at hand with facilitated communication is that who is actually authoring the communication? Is it the non-speaker, or is it the facilitator holding their hand? And I know they eventually prompt and work their way, fade their way out to where, guys, the telepathy tapes, it was so wild. There was one, I listened to one part that it sounded so convincing of like, oh yeah, people say that the facilitator is making them say this thing, but they were not even touching their hand or their arm. What they failed to mention, when I went and watched the video, what they failed to mention is that the mom had her hand on the child's forehead and was going like this, indicating where to touch on the what is it called? On the spelling board. The prompting is happening, you guys, and time again, facilitated communication has been disproven and shown that the person who is the non-speaker is not actually authoring the words independently. They're following the prompts that are being given to them. That's what I want you to be mindful of. But I want you to know this is not the same thing as an AAC device, okay? I love, these are evidence-based ways to give your child a voice. Using sign or PECS, a visual schedule. The spelling to communicate is totally separate. This is saying bypass all of those because your nonverbal child really knows how to spell words and they deserve their full voice. And so they're going to tap on a spelling board while a facilitator is holding the board and guiding their hand on where to touch. It's very much like a Ouija board. And so I want you guys to be a little bit cautious about that. But please don't mix up my statements with what I'm talking about with an AAC device or anything like that. All right. How intense do you think a special interest needs to be? I'm diagnosed and I've had very strong ones in the past, but I'm not sure if I have one right now. Okay, that's a good question. Sometimes, the special interest. Put in the chat if you have autism or if your child has autism, what are your children's special interests right now? For me, my child's special interests are books, butterflies, and toothbrushes. But put it in the chat. Let me know. One of the interesting things with the special interest is it's not always about how odd the interest is. People think autism and they think, oh, trains. They must like trains. They must like dinosaurs and Rubik's Cubes and Pokemon. And that's autism. But it's not about what the interest is. It's about how intense the interest is, right? A girl with autism, or girls there may be a group of friends, they all like horses. But the one with a special interest with autism, they don't just like horses, but they know every horse breed. They know every little fact about horses. It's about intensity of the interest, of the fixated interest, not just that they have an interest or what the interest is. Thank you all for putting those in there. I love hearing all of the special interests. All right, you guys, we are going to bring up people. Let's go ahead and be chatting with people. Let's bring people up. Let's have some real conversations. If you have a question, if you want to have a discussion about any of these things we've talked about or anything with autism, please request up. I'm going to go ahead and change the layout here so it prompts is a little bit easier for people to see. Go ahead and request up, and we will answer some questions. Go. See if we can load some people in.
Hello.
Well, hi, Ebony. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Well, I'm good. Where are you from? Where do you live?
Columbus, Ohio.
Wonderful. Ohio. What can we do for you today?
Yeah, I wanted to ask what you were talking about. So my son is on the spectrum,
Yeah.
but you mentioned profound. So I was trying to have you clarify. Do you mean like on the further end, like level 10 and above?
Yeah.
Can you elaborate?
Absolutely. What a good question. So, what I was talking about was a new direction that they are looking at going with autism. Now, this is not official, it's not in the diagnostic criteria. Profound autism is not. Currently, the way that it's laid out is there are levels of autism, and there are 3 levels. And one indicates low support needs, meaning that they don't need a lot of help to get through life. And level 3 is the highest level of support needs. And the problem right now with these levels is that there's no set criteria for what each level means. So when your child was diagnosed, do you know if they do you have a child with autism, did you say?
Yeah,
Okay.
Gabriel just turned 6.
Wonderful.
He does require needs. He's verbal.
Yeah.
I think he's in the middle. So he's not like profound. He's not
Yeah.
like he's in the middle.
When
You know
when
what
he
I
got
mean?
diagnosed, did they give a level, do you know? Cuz
Yeah,
sometimes they don't.
3, 3, 4.
Okay.
He was diagnosed at the age of 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are 3 levels. So it would have been level 3, but it's not a lifetime thing. Like when they give a level, it is you have to know that is like very temporary at that moment. What level of support do they need? So toddlers, by default, are typically level 2 or level 3, and so it's rare to have a toddler diagnosed level 1 if they get an autism diagnosis. And so don't take don't care about the levels at all. They mean nothing. There's no way to say that your child what your child is going to be capable of, what they're going to be able to accomplish in life. We know 40% of kids with autism go on to go to college. And so it's like obviously like we need to support and care for them, but the levels mean very little. Each psychologist does it differently. So one psychologist may have given your kid level 3, and a different psychologist could have done it level 2. It's like if you had a bathroom scale and you stepped on it and it said 150 pounds, then you got off and got on it again and it said 100 pounds. You got off, got back on it, said 200 pounds. Like, would you buy that bathroom scale? I like
No.
no, you wouldn't want that bathroom scale. That bathroom scale doesn't work. That's kind of what the levels are right
Absolutely.
now. And they're that like it's kind of helpful, but it's really just up to that clinician. What they're proposing though is that a new diagnosis called profound autism. This isn't official yet. This is just a recommendation that if a child is 8 years old and they can't communicate well, and their IQ, they have to do an IQ test and it's below 50, and they require 24-hour supervision and support, then they meet the criteria for profound autism. And so that would be like the most support needs that a child needs.
Wow, I do hope that, they get more research. So, like, the most thing for me, like, Gabriel, he has tantrums when he doesn't get his way, right?
Yeah.
He gets to the point where, and I feel like he doesn't know how to regulate his emotions, which I understand.
Oh yeah.
With kids on the spectrum, it can be hard for them, but I feel like I don't know how to support him. You know what I mean? Like I do the best I can with the ABA therapist and I try to communicate, but I don't know. What do you recommend? Like for example, I said Gabriel loves buses, right? He will sing Wheels on the Bus 60 times a day.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, Gabriel, can you please stop? Can we sing, I don't know, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star? He's like, Mommy, no. I like Wheels on the Bus, and he will he will not want to go to school. He will like not want to do anything. And then the moment I take the bus away, oh, all hell breaks loose,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Rolling on the ground, throwing a tantrum. Yeah, I need help.
Yes. Yes. Okay. That's something that I think a lot of us parents are going through right now. I know I am that my son kind of has his special interests and he doesn't want to be told what to do and what he can do and what he can't do. My son still is trying to learn what no means. It's a bit of a struggle for him. Here, what services are you getting right now? What's your care team like?
So I just put him in an autism school, and he has ABA therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, but it's all center based, right?
They don't
And
give it
it's
at home.
no, not right now because I work from home, and it would be a major. I feel like it would be a distraction because if I'm around, he's not going to want to participate and learn, right? He's going to want to come to me the whole time.
Oh yeah,
So.
yeah. Well, let me tell you, you got a good team of professionals there. And you should know, even if they're in the clinic, they are there not just to support your child, but they are there to support you. Your job as the care team manager is to coordinate all of these people. What I do is every single professional, the school, speech therapist, OT, and ABA, they're all on a group email. And so when I have concerns and I'm like, hey guys, this is what I'm noticing. Can you give me some support in this? Even me, I'm a BCBA. I have a master's degree in autism. I'm on the other side of this all the time consulting with parents. But for some reason, when it's my own kid, I'm blinded. And those
Yeah,
same things don't apply because all I want is to show my love and care
right.
for him and just snuggle him and give him everything he wants. And so when it's with our own kids, we are blinded to it. And it's easy to look at someone else's and
Absolutely.
be like, you need to do this and this and this. And so my recommendation to you is trust in your care team. You got good people. You got an OT, you got speech, you got ABA. Use them, help them, give you ideas for how to support your child. I will say that you said he's 5.
He just turned
He
six,
just turned 6.
March 26th. Yeah.
Good. But the fact that he's into songs and into toys and is enjoying these playing, that is age appropriate. That is what kids should
Okay.
be doing. And it sounds like the trouble is transitioning. Does that sound right?
Yes.
That it's,
Yes, absolutely. And
he's doing
someone just
these.
mentioned Mama Bear,
Yeah.
emotional intelligence. Yeah. Yeah, transitioning for sure. You're
Yeah.
right. It's sometimes I just feel like I wish because I literally I've tried. What's that thing that's been on TikTok? It's like it's got the gummies. What's that thing? Hold on, one second. Mood munchies. You know, Joy Spring. Like I have tried everything. I've
Like
tried
supplements
gummies.
with,
I've
oh, yeah.
tried
Yeah, don't waste your
saffron.
money
I've
on that
tried
stuff.
everything, man,
Yeah.
and nothing seems to really help. Because he has ADHD as well. I have it diagnosed. He hasn't
Oh.
been diagnosed yet. Yeah, he's just hyperactive all the time. So it's like trying to have him regulate his emotions, but also
Have you
try
heard
and
me
stay
talk
calm
about
so we
about
can.
autism and ADHD before together?
No,
Let me tell you some
no.
thoughts I have on this because what you're explaining is uh like autism and ADHD are brutal when they're combined because they are opposite diagnoses. This is like trying to drive to the store by pushing on your gas and your brake at the same time. It's gonna break your car. Like what? And let me explain what that means. So autism is
Please.
telling your son to have consistency, to have routine, to have stability, to have calmness, avoid the sensory overload. But his ADHD is saying, I need to mix things up. I need novelty. I need to do whatever impulsively gives me the most reinforcement right now. And that completely conflicts with autism. And so whatever he decides to do, he is dysregulated. That is challenging. That is hard.
So how do I tackle both? You know what I mean? I
Yes.
mean, I'm still waiting for he goes to Nationwide Children's Hospital, so I'm still waiting for them to give me a space to have him, diagnosed for ADHD. I'm still waiting. I'm on a
Yes.
wait list for that.
Well, good
So
news for you is that ADHD is, I mean, there's a lot of ways to address ADHD. When they're really young, they start with just like parent training and supporting, and, it's a little bit more hands off. But around age 6, pediatricians and developmental pediatricians and psychiatrists start recommending potential medications. And please don't be too closed minded to it. Talk to them about the real risks with them and the real potential benefits. Because if if that medication can calm the ADHD part of that mind, that solves 50% of this battle and makes it so that those therapies can be even more supportive. And so
Okay.
ADHD, autism, there is no medication that by default, there's no medication or supplement that by default is recommended for autism. ADHD, there's a lot of different medications that have been shown to significantly support ADHD. So that is something to absolutely have an open dialogue with your doctor about, especially if you're seeing this fight go on internally
Right.
of ADHD and autism fighting each other.
I thank you so much. I will
Absolutely.
greatly appreciate it. And I'm new to your podcast. I'm new to your
Oh,
live,
good.
and I'm gonna be a fan.
Hey, Ebony, thank you for
Cool.
being here. I really appreciate that. Keep us
Welcome.
posted on the ADHD stuff. Thank you so much for coming up.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one. You guys, what a good mom. She's doing great, you guys. She's doing so good. Yes, Lexi, thank you for bringing that up. We do have a Discord and we do have a Facebook group. Please join both of those. It keeps this discussion live a lot longer than this live stream is. We're going to bring our next guest up, but first, let me address some questions and comments. Okay. New here too. This is awesome. How many of y'all are new? If I just came across your For You page today, put FYP in the chat. I want to see who is new here. Put FYP in the chat. If I just came across your For You page today, I want to know. Thank you so much for coming live and sharing your knowledge and helping us parents. Oh, you know what? Y'all are helping me. I'm an autism dad too. I'm 6 years sober from alcohol. My Adderall saved my life. Yeah, guys, I don't judge other parents or people who use these medications, especially those who have this internal battle. Look at all these new people. Yeah, the Facebook group and the Discord chat are linked in my bio, you guys. They're linked in my bio. Lexi, you stop it. You stop putting FYP. Come on now. I see some of y'all putting your FYP in there when you're not FYP, but I appreciate that, you guys. That's great. Okay, how can you tell if it's just autism or if it's ADHD, especially in a nonverbal child? Court, that's a good question. So the diagnostic criteria are very different. And it used to be before 2013, it used to be that if you had autism, you could not receive a diagnosis of ADHD. They felt like ADHD was already covered by the autism diagnosis, and so there could not be both. And since 2013, they've separated those tests a bit, and so absolutely talk to your doctor about it. They can filter that out. If they already have autism, you're going to want to go probably to a developmental pediatrician or a psychologist, not just your pediatrician. And they'll be able to rule those things out. About 50% of kids with autism also have ADHD, which just increases the challenges with autism. Okay. Jessica says, I'd like to learn more about Gestalt language processing. Son is 3, pretty sure he has ADHD. Okay, here, you know what? I can address, this will be the last thing I address, and then I will be adding more people up. So now's the time to get in the box if you want to be considered. We do have a few people in there, I think. But Gestalt language processing, GLP. Put GLP in the chat if you have never heard of GLP, Gestalt language processing. This will tell me if I should go into it or not. GLP, if you haven't heard of this before, Gestalt language processing. So what this is a description that a lot of times speech therapists will give of how a child learns language. And many kids with autism process language with GLP, Gestalt language processing. So what this looks like is typically you have a baby, and let's say language development is building a house out of Legos. This is a metaphor. You're going to give that baby one Lego at a time or one word at a time. They learn mama, they learn dada, and they learn what those words mean, and they're getting those Legos and they're building a house till eventually they have a built house and they have language. Gestalt language processing is reverse order of that you give a child a house. And so if your kid feels like he could say full sentences, but he has no idea what he's saying, he has the whole house, but then they break down, they take apart those Legos to build that understanding later. And so a lot of kids with autism, this is how that works. I hear a lot of people with autism that their children's first word was like a phrase that they repeated instead of just like a mama or a dada. So that is what GLP is referring to. It does not indicate intellectual disability. It is a different way of learning language, and both can accomplish language development. But a speech therapist may work with them slightly differently. Okay, let's go ahead and bring some more people up here. Thank you all for being here. If it says follow right there, please make sure that you are following. That way you can see next time that we go live. I'm going to bring my friend Lexi up here. Howdy, Lexi. Good to see you. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. Happy Autism Awareness Month, everybody.
Yeah. Why have I not even announced that or talked about that? Thank you, Lexi. I appreciate that. Hello, I'm here. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Where are you from?
Seattle, Washington area.
Great. Wonderful. And what brings you in today? How can we help?
So, I think my granddaughter is autistic and have since she's been a baby or very young. Let me put it that way. Her mom went through a lot and I didn't push her on the subject.
Is that your daughter?
However, the past couple of years, I've been really like trying to get her help, and she just doesn't seem to want to acknowledge. I don't know if she wants to see that her daughter may have these traits. Um,
Yeah.
so I
This is
did
your
have her address that
grandchild?
her. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is this your grandchild you're talking about? Your
Yes.
daughter?
Yes.
Okay.
And they did live in the home with me. So I
Oh, do
did
they
see
still
her
live in the home
daily.
with you?
Not currently, but they did up until last year.
Okay. Okay.
And
And
she's
have you
7.
brought up autism at all to your daughter?
Yes, past couple of years I've been talking to her about it, and she
You just got
actually.
quiet on there. Can you move your phone a little bit back out?
Can you hear me now?
There we go. That's perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, I did have her bring it up to her doctor, but I don't know what she said to her doctor about it. And the doctor said she wouldn't address it at this age unless the teachers had said something.
What?
Which, yes. So
Oh
now
my gosh.
so I don't know if my daughter said, well, my mom thinks, or you know what I mean? So,
What are the signs that you're seeing with your
okay, so
granddaughter?
she was pretty much nonverbal until after 5.
Whoa.
She would not make eye contact or call when, move her head when her name was called. She would not leave her mom's side for a couple of years. She, if you took something away from her or she got angry, like she would literally just like throw herself, bang her head on the floor. Um, when she tried to start talking, it was like more of a stuttering, like her brain was going too fast to make the words come out.
Yeah.
But I guess thankfully the teachers now have said something to her this year about her getting something addressed
Okay.
or noticing some symptoms
Here's the
in
problem that
school.
the pediatrician doesn't realize, that if the school brings it up and the school does the assessment, that evaluation that they do typically doesn't cover medical services. The medical world doesn't accept school assessments, and the school world typically doesn't accept medical assessments. And so they're viewed as kind of two separate evaluations that have to happen. And so that's something that your daughter is going to have to be aware of. That and that it makes me so mad when I hear about pediatricians that are telling people to wait and see, and that are telling people to like not make it a big deal. Like this child was not communicating until age 5. Like this should have been caught at their 18-month and 24-month appointment, because pediatricians do autism screeners. And so that really frustrates me when pediatricians aren't doing their job, or they're recommending people to wait and see. What this child needs to do right now is you don't need the pediatrician to send in a referral to a psychologist. Based on what I'm hearing of all of those signs that you're talking about, this child needs to get in to see a psychologist. Do they have health insurance? Do they have like Medicaid or something?
Yes.
Okay. They need to call a psychologist and get someone who does evaluations for autism to check on her. Not the pediatrician. Pediatricians can't diagnose autism typically. Unless they're specifically trained to do those evaluations. It's not just like a simple test. It takes a couple hours. They have to be specifically trained in what's called the ADOS to be able to diagnose autism. And so don't wait on the school. That's going to be a separate thing. Whether the school indicates it or not, is going to be totally separate. As soon as she has that evaluation, then more medical services can open up. Things like ABA therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy can open up even further as soon as she has that medical diagnosis.
Thank you so much. And as my granddaughter progressed, I started noticing how much she was like me, which kind of preempted me to, I looked at the Embrace Autism site. I don't know if you've heard of it or agree with it.
I'm not sure. There's a lot of websites out there with screeners on there.
I did take some testing. I scored very high on the Asperger's and high, I guess, on the autism.
Was it RADS? Was it RADS that you took? The RAADS?
Maybe. There was like several different tests, and I took several of them.
Cautious. You have to be cautious about some of the screeners. I don't know those specific ones. What you're going to want to make sure is that they're citing an actual study that validates that screener, and it's not just someone's opinion. But most likely it was, and what that should indicate is you should also reach out and see about talking to a psychologist. There's a lot of women who were missed specifically because autism wasn't a diagnosis, or only those most profoundly impacted could be diagnosed before 2013. And so when you were a kid, this wasn't around and available, and there weren't resources available. And so absolutely, I have it linked in my bio. The RADS 14 is another one. If you want one more little screener, it's 14 questions. That one is validated. But I recommend that you absolutely go and get yourself evaluated.
I'm actually seeing a psychiatrist and a therapist, and I have brought this up. I was just also diagnosed with ADHD. I thought I had ADHD since I was a kid. My brother had it. But because I wasn't as hyperactive as he was, it was just like my brain wouldn't stop. My mom didn't think I had it, so I never got treated until recently. But
it breaks your heart, doesn't it? Like, you think of what would your life look like right now if you had the support since you were a kid, and let that feeling drive your passion towards supporting your kids. I do want to say, I mean, they're outside your home. If she's like super resistant to it, you got to recognize some of those boundaries. But it doesn't sound like that's the problem. It sounds like she actually took your advice, went to the doctor, and the doctor is the one who was dismissing things.
Right. It did take some time, but I mean, better late than never.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming up. You have a great rest of your day, okay?
You too. Thank you for your help.
Of course. Have a good one. Destiny, hello. It's good to see you. How are you feeling about today?
I was ready as I'll ever be, I guess.
Is the news coming today? It's this afternoon?
Yeah, they'll be here at 4.
Woo! That's coming up. I can't wait for tomorrow for you to update us how things go. And if you make it on the news, you're gonna need to send us the link. I'll like post about it. That'd be cool.
I've been like scrubbing my house, and this morning, like, okay, so we were putting Hudson in zip-up pajamas, and then he'd zip out of them, so he'd put them on backwards. And then he started ripping them from the neck seam and then getting out of them. So finally, we found a way, we were putting him in baggy t-shirts and just letting him sleep with that in his diaper. And that's been great for the last couple weeks. Well, this morning, I went in there. He was butt booty naked. There was everything was everywhere. It was a whole biohazard. My whole house smelled like a biohazard. So I spent like an hour scrubbing his bed, scrubbing his floors, the walls, the sheets. I was like, Hudson, I really don't have time for this. Like, I really need to clean the house. I got to get you ready for therapy, all these things. And so I put him in the bath while I'm washing the sheets. And Then I get him dressed out of the bath, and I didn't drain the water because so much was going on. 5 seconds later, Hudson is back playing in the bathtub, fully clothed.
No.
It's
Oh
been
my
a
gosh.
nightmare of a morning, a whole nightmare. I'm like, do you really have to do this today?
Oh my goodness.
You know what? At least it's this morning. Like, man, could you imagine if they were supposed to be there at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. or something, and you're going through?
I would have said interview somebody else. I'm not talking to anybody at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. Probably not even 10 a.m.
There you go. All right.
Like, yeah. So it's been interesting, but both of the kids are napping. Well, Brody's napping. Hudson's stimming in his bed. But at least they're contained, and
they're
just
happy.
cleaning the house, preparing.
I'm all for quiet time. Even if, my little one, my 3.5-year-old, he doesn't need a nap every day, but he still needs it on occasion. We still do a 2-hour quiet time every day. And we go in, we turn on a show, and he's in his room and in his bed, and we get a break, and he gets some downtime. And, if he doesn't have that, like, I feel like it's so regulating for him too. So
yeah.
we
It's regulating for me, especially if I can plan it where they're both going down at the same time. I get like a good hour or two to kind of clean up the house and just relax and eat, because I'll just forget to eat until my blood sugar gets low, and I'm like, haven't eaten today. I should probably do that.
Yeah, don't forget to eat. All right, you guys, let's see if there's questions in the chat here. How do we feel about cubby beds? So cubby beds can be great, especially, if you have a kid who gets up at night and you have a hard time getting them contained. I've been able to find a lot of success with keeping people in bed, even kids with autism, through other behavioral strategies without the expense of a cubby bed, but it's not always possible.
I will say, if your child does need a cubby bed, insurance refused it for us, but we found like a dupe, I guess. It's called the Safety Sleeper by Abrams Nation, and we had a local nonprofit give us the grant for it. The cubby bed is $12,500 without a mattress.
$12,000?
Yes, without a mattress.
Gosh.
The Safety Sleeper by Abrams Nation is like $5,000. It comes with an air mattress so you can travel, and then it comes with a memory foam mattress. It comes with a suitcase so you can break the bed down and travel with it. And if your insurance won't cover it, reach out to every nonprofit that you can find, and you'll find somebody to cover it. That's what we had to do.
Thanks, Destiny. Jada, hello. How are you? Where are you from?
Hi, I'm from Michigan. How are you?
Michigan. I'm doing great. How can we help you today?
Me and my friend, we have a question.
Of course.
Does a pediatrician have to give out a referral to be tested for autism through a psychologist?
That is a good question. So sometimes an insurance, it depends on your insurance. But most of the time, no. Most of the time, you can go directly to a psychologist if you have done the screeners and you believe your child has autism, or you believe you have autism. You can go straight to the psychologist.
Okay.
And you don't need anyone else's permission to do that. But if you might want to call your insurance first and double check that. Is it your child that you're wondering about?
I'm in the process of getting my child a diagnosis. He turns 2 next month on the 22nd. I have in-home services for him currently.
Wonderful.
We just started on that. It's going well.
Like early intervention stuff. It's like a developmental specialist or something coming in, or speech therapy.
Yep, I got a speech therapist. I have a special education therapist. And then one more person. I don't really know what she does. I kindly forgot, but yeah.
Okay. Let me break things down for you, Jada. Can I give you some advice here?
Yeah.
Okay. First, my question to you is, how is your village? Do you have support? Do you have family and friends around?
I have one friend. I don't have a really big support system. I have my sister. But she doesn't really understand the terms of autism. She doesn't know what I go through daily.
Oh yeah.
So I have a big village, but I have a small village.
Okay. Keep that in mind. Remember that, it's hard for us autism parents to do this alone. The second step here, I talk about these things in the parts of the autism journey, and you're on the second part of getting clarity, and that's the diagnosis. So please be aware, like, you suspect autism, but you're not going to get an autism diagnosis. You are going in to get clarity for what's happening with your child. And if
Yeah.
they come in and they say, hey, look, we've done these tests, this is what we found, and this is what we recommend, listen to the experts and go in and find out. It's not about finding autism, it's about finding what support your child needs. And if it is autism, this third part is what you're doing right now, is building your care team. And the door opens wide open as soon as you have this diagnosis. You have this diagnosis, suddenly there are 4 therapies that I recommend you consider. The first is ABA therapy. Have you heard of ABA therapy before?
I've heard a little bit about it, but I don't understand the full terms of ABA therapy.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So ABA therapy, we're really fortunate in the United States. Not many other countries have access to ABA therapy, and it is the most intensive service for kids with autism. And what they can work on any skill, including communication, as well as addressing problem behaviors. But really, it's about looking at where your child is developmentally and working on goals one by one to help them progress. And insurance will pay for up to 30 hours per week, sometimes 40 hours per week, of a technician working with your child. And
That's awesome.
it's incredible. That can be in your home, or it can be in a clinic. And so that is one that I absolutely recommend you look into. The second, speech therapy, you're already doing that. The third is occupational therapy. Does your child have any sensory needs? Is he struggling to meet those sensory needs?
He definitely has a lot of sensory overload issues. He's also somebody who prefers to play alone. He has issues playing with other children. He's been doing a lot better with it recently. But he gets overwhelmed when other kids are taking his toys. If he wants to play with something and they have something, he'll immediately want it, and then he'll start being aggressive. He's
What
very
about food?
aggressive.
Does he have a wide variety of food that he can eat? Or is he a picky
Yeah,
eater?
he doesn't have any. I wouldn't say he has any sensory issues with food. He
Perfect.
pretty much eats anything that you give him.
So based on what I'm hearing, occupational therapy could be helpful. They're really experts on meeting a lot of those sensory needs and helping you, meet those sensory needs. That they also are really highly trained, oftentimes in feeding therapy if your child needs that.
Yeah.
But then the third one is, as your child gets older, keep in mind that mental health therapy is recommended for kids with autism if they show signs of anxiety or depression. And that probably doesn't apply right now, but it could apply younger than you may realize, and they can do the therapy through play. And so if you get that diagnosis, please, your next step is build the care team. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to know everything. You just get the experts into your child's life, and your child's going to be great.
Okay. Do you know, okay, so the levels.
Yes.
He is not nonverbal. He talks a lot, actually. He has a whole big vocabulary of words that he says.
Yeah.
Do you know, and he's very independent. He doesn't like you to help him with things. If he can do it on his own, he'd much rather do it on his own. He can tell you what he needs and wants. Like when he tells me he's hungry, he signals it to his mouth. He'll open his mouth. He'll point at his mouth with his finger. And that's how I know he's hungry. Or he'll say a bite,
Yep.
So
they'd probably
with that
give him
being
level 2.
said, he wouldn't be high on the spectrum, would he?
So here's the thing with the levels is it's complete garbage and meaningless. The levels don't bear any weight to the level that they give your child. There's countries where they don't even do the levels. The services that you can get are not dependent on what level it is. But it is you should be aware, one psychologist doing the evaluation may say level 2, the other may say level 3, the other may say level 1. And it's just up to that clinician's opinion, clinical judgment. And so there's not a standard test for it. And so it also doesn't predict your child's future. And so just don't even care about what level they say, to be honest. My guess is that they'll say level 2. If your child has some language,
Yeah.
Sadly, the levels are often tied. What I see most psychologists do is they tie it to communication. And that's not always the case, but sadly, it is the most clear way that they judge this. And it's, if your child has no way to communicate, they say level 3. If your child has some, they do level 2. And if your child is conversational, they say level 1. That's what I see all the time. And that's a way oversimplification of what this system should be, but I see that all the time.
Okay. What was your question? My friend has a question.
Of course.
So our kids are very close in age. They're about a month and a half apart. So my daughter is 2, and so I started noticing little things when she was smaller, and I did mention one of the things to my pediatrician because I didn't know if it could have been a symptom of autism or if it was a ear, nose, and throat thing.
Oh.
So she still does it to this day. She's doing it more frequently now, and it started when she was about 6 months old, I would say. She will sit in front of the couch or on the couch and rock back and forth very aggressively, where she's like hitting her head against the couch. And she walks on her tippy toes or runs on her tippy toes sometimes. The tantrums are what I'm struggling with the most right now. When she gets mad, she'll run and charge towards me, try and bite me, hit me, throwing things, breaking things. And I've mentioned it to my pediatrician, and they tell me that they're not concerned about her because she hits all of her milestones on time. But my brother also has ADHD and autism, and her father has ADHD. So I didn't know if this is something that she could possibly have that's hereditary, or like everyone tells me, oh, I think you're just overreacting because she hits her milestones perfectly on time. But it's not necessarily that I'm concerned about. It's the behavioral aspect of it.
Let me touch on this. And is it okay if I mute you while I talk here for just a second?
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Look, Jada's friend, that is a great question. And something I love is when parents are so open to an autism diagnosis and considering these things. I see the opposite all too often, that people want to avoid the label as much as possible. And really all that does is prevents your child from getting the care that they need. What I'm going to recommend to you is that you do the MChat. That is an autism screener. It's linked in my bio. It's free. You just fill that out, and it tells you if your child is high risk, moderate risk, or low risk. If it's high risk, you bypass your pediatrician and you call a psychologist to do an evaluation. Most pediatricians are so good at doing this and recommend moving forward with a diagnosis, but then, especially if your doctor learned their practices before 2013, I still see some doctors who are very hesitant to recommend an autism evaluation, except for the most profound cases. And it really does a disservice to the kids. And so go ahead and check the MChat, see how they score, if it's high risk, moderate risk, or low risk, and then call a psychologist if you're concerned. The stimming that you referred to, that's the rocking back and forth. Just a lot of kids stim, whether they have autism or not, but that can be a sign of autism. And I want you to keep in mind that that's not a bad thing. It's not bad to be stimming. If she's hitting her head on the couch, it's probably not hurting her. And it's feeling good, it's comforting, it's regulating. And encourage it, support it, it's okay. We don't need to stop that behavior, whether they're neurotypical or neurodivergent. But the MChat will look at other things. They ask things like, does your child climb on furniture? Do they make eye contact? Will they look where you point? Do they respond when you say their name? All of those things. And then they give you a score of low, medium, or high risk of autism. And that's kind of the first step. If it's high risk, call your call a psychologist to get into get an evaluation. Thank you guys so much for coming up, Jada and friend. I really appreciate you guys being here, and I just hope your kids can get the care and support that they need. Thank you so much. Lexi, did you have anything else to add?
Yeah, there was a question in the chat that where there was some people confused about play-based therapy. When you say
Oh, yeah.
play-based therapy, if you mean ABA therapy or if you're meaning a different type of therapy. So I wonder
Yeah.
if we can clarify that for the chat.
That is a good question. Okay, so I for little kids, I think that all of their therapy should be play based. But the label of play therapy is specific to a type of mental health therapy. When they bill insurance, it's just billed as mental health therapy, like when you go and talk to a therapist. But for a little kid, they don't want to sit on a couch and talk about their feelings. No, they wanna play Uno, and the therapist might cheat and make them lose to see how they deal with frustration, and then talk through their feelings with them. And so that is play therapy. There's specific strategies. Play therapy is specifically around mental health therapy, addressing anxiety and depression and mental health conditions through play. And so you'll talk to mental health therapists about that. Now, ABA, I recommend ABA to be play based. That's not the same thing as the specific play therapy that has that label. That's where we go. If your child is conversational and they show signs of anxiety, depression, or other mental health conditions, looking into a therapist who is trained in play therapy can help them a lot.
Thank you
All
for
right.
clarifying.
Of course, Lexi. Should I bring up? Well, let me ask a couple more questions on here. Okay, NET is ABA play therapy technically. So NET is play-based therapy, Potato. And even better than NET is the what is it called? The developmentally appropriate behavioral
DIR.
interventions. It's the Early Start Denver model or Jasper. Those are incredible ABA-based therapies that are developmentally appropriate but centered around play. That is what I like to do as well. So, okay. Oh, Potato, that's great. Are you an RBT? Are you an RBT? All right, you guys. I do like play-based therapies, and if you notice, speech therapists do the same thing. That a speech therapist shouldn't just sit at the table with a toddler. That they should be on the ground playing with the things that are motivating the child. All right, you guys. Let's go ahead and bring up the next people that we can have join our conversation here. We have a lot of people in the guest box. I apologize if I don't get to you today, but we're going to do all that we can to get to people. Okay, let's see here. Perpri, hello. How are you?
Hello, thank you so much
Of
for
course.
accepting.
Where are you from?
So I'm currently residing in Europe,
Love it. What part of Europe?
Central Europe. So
Very cool. How
I
can we
am
help you today?
married. Yeah, so I am married, and okay, and I don't really want to talk and share a lot of information, but I have someone that I've noticed, for example, like when I speak to him, he would take things literally, and when there's a joke, he wouldn't understand it. And when we are in a group of friends, for example, I'm with my friends and he's there, he would like zone out sometimes. It would feel like he's in a different planet, or like he's, and like he's not against therapy,
Yeah.
but I don't know how to tell him, like, respectfully, that I think that he needs to be evaluated.
Yeah. And that's a hard conversation to have with somebody. I get this question a lot of when is it appropriate to tell someone that you think they should be evaluated for autism, and it really depends on your relationship with them, and how open they are. Typically, it's best to wait for them to bring something up, like say, I don't understand why this is so hard for me, or I don't know why I'm just not understanding this. And that could be a
Yeah,
good,
he doesn't understand a lot of things. And to be honest, like, I am kind of scared because I have a friend, like, whose husband has autism,
yeah,
but their child had, like, very severe autism. She said her son is nonverbal, and I'm also, like, a little scared about that. So
Yeah.
hopefully my children are not going to be this way.
Yeah.
Even if they are, I'm going to try to help them.
Yeah.
Like, of course, I'm going to love my children.
Yes.
But it's just that, I don't know how to
there
tell
are
him,
some clear statistics around this. You should know that most of the time, if a parent is autistic, their child is not going to be autistic most of the time, but it does
Okay.
increase their chance. And so it's about 20% of the time, about 1 in 5, that if you have autism or your spouse has autism, that your child is also going to have autism. But that also doesn't mean that it's that they're going to have profound autism or have significant support needs. And so keep that in mind. And I wouldn't necessarily say that that should make it so whether or not you decide to have kids, but it should determine whether or not you or how closely you look for autism in your children. And that could be if you're talking about your partner, your spouse, one thing that you could do is talk about, hey, look, like I think it would be good for us to see if we have autism or ADHD so that we can know like what are the chances our kids are going to have that as well. Not to determine whether or not we have kids, but to make us more aware of how vigilant we should be with our kids. So that can be one approach that you take with it. But really, the idea here is you want him to have support. What do you feel like would change if he had a diagnosis of autism? What would change? What would that mean for you or for him?
For me, it would mean that I would know how to deal with his stubbornness, because like he can get really stubborn about things.
Yeah.
And here's the funny part, like he would be stubborn today, but then tomorrow, like after some talking, he would kind of like be a little flexible.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's a hallmark of it or not. Is it?
Well,
Is it one of the symptoms?
It could be. What I recommend, so there are screeners. I have one linked, the RADS, that you can take, and you could take it thinking of him as well, just to as your perspective, or you could be like, hey, look, I was on this live today, and I heard someone talk about autism, and it made me like I saw this test. I scored and this test will give you a score out of 42, and if it's over 14. That indicates that you should likely go and be evaluated. And so it's a validated test that you could just say, hey, I came across this live. I took it. I got this score. You should take it. What are you going to get? And have him take it and see what he gets. Those screeners are kind of the first things to do. Here's the thing is, knowing he has autism or thinking he has autism isn't going to change much. Let me tell you, when adults get diagnosed, the number one thing that it does for a person is it validates their lived experience. Your spouse is not the
and I
enemy
think
of-
that's
yeah,
important
of course.
for him, yeah.
Yeah, it's not about you feeling validated that this is why he acts that way. It's so that he knows, hey, socially, life has been hard for me, much harder than everyone else, and I have an explanation for that now. And like I understand why I've had a hard time making friends. I understand why I don't always understand the unspoken rules of society. I understand why I'm socially awkward sometimes. And that understanding goes a long way. That's the first part. The second part is the number one support for adults in this kind of situation is a therapist, so that you can talk to, who specializes in autism. And so if you have a diagnosis, that means you can then seek out a therapist who is specifically trained with autism. And that is meaningful.
Okay. Yeah, so I do have like one important question. So I don't know. I think I read it somewhere, but I'm not sure. It was just someone talking. So I heard that people with autism are really good with people with ADHD. And his coworker is diagnosed with ADHD, and like he keeps talking about her. He's like, like she's my not she's my, but but he said that he's her only support, like her only friend, and he's the only one that that she trusts and feels like they have friendship
They
with.
understand each other.
Yeah. Do you think that like people with autism go well with people with ADHD?
I haven't read any research on that, and in my experience, it's kind of the opposite, because ADHD craves novelty and change and newness, and autism craves rigidity and keeping to a routine and
Oh
avoiding
yeah,
sensory
yeah.
overload. And sometimes that can conflict. However, if anyone that's neurodivergent, it builds empathy towards other people. And so it could, I just don't have any data on that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and speaking about routines, he
Yeah.
is obsessed with his routine.
Oh, really? Okay.
He, yeah, yeah, like he is obsessed with it, and also he's been playing this game for like I think over 8 years. And for me, I was really weirded out. Like who plays the same game for 8 years?
Yeah. So there's kind of the special interest going on. That is definitely a hallmark of autism. Um,
Yes, and like he has this special routine. Like he usually plays it before he goes to bed. And
yeah.
it's been this way even when he travels. I'm
Wow.
like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a routine for sure. I look, my recommendation to you, what I would do in your situation is I would just make it a game and be like, "Hey, look, I took this test. This is what I got. Some of these questions made me think of you. You should take this. What do you think?" And if you have a loving and caring relationship, like I feel like my wife and I could say something like that to each other and it would be totally fine, and we're supportive of each other no matter what. And but just be cautious that you don't come in making it look accusatory or like you're casting judgment on him. But yeah,
Oh no,
that's
no,
my
no. And you know
recommendation.
what? And I mean, like for me personally, I'm totally not judging him.
Yeah,
I just want to know what's going on because I feel like something is off. And even my family noticed that. Like
yeah,
they were telling me like so my father, he said, like I really like your husband, but like sometimes I feel like he's not here with us in the conversation. And I think maybe it's not even autism. Like maybe it's something else. Like I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
key isn't finding an autism diagnosis; it's getting clarity. And you as the spouse, that's you may be able to do that in a very loving way. Hey, thank you so much for coming up. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next person, but Per, thank you
Yeah,
so much
yeah,
for
thank
being
you.
here.
Bye.
All right, bye. All right, you guys, thank y'all for being here. Let's go ahead and answer some questions that are here in the chat. Let's see. Just did the link for the test. 28 out of 42. Yeah, that's clinically significant. Obviously, the test can't diagnose autism, but anything over 14 is considered clinically significant and something that you should consider to look at further. Okay, someone brought up frat and oat test. Okay, let me tell you my honest thoughts about this. So the oat test is widely broadcasted as something of like, hey, you need to find out what's wrong with your kid's gut so that we can treat autism. And so you're going to take this oat test. It's going to tell you like how much yeast and stuff is in your gut and if it's leaking and all these different criteria that it measures, and it comes back, and every single one that I've seen that people have sent me, everything is flagged. It's saying you need all these supplements. And then guess what? The same place that does the test just so happens to conveniently have all of the supplements that they want to recommend for you. Just know that this is not a standard test that you can request through your pediatrician. There's a reason for that. It's unnecessary. It's hypersensitive to slight nuances that are not clinically significant to treat. And the treating based off of the OAT test has not been found to be to address autism symptoms. So the FRAT test is newer. It's very different. This is a potential indicator that leucovorin is going to be beneficial depending on how the FRAT test is scored. I'm excited about it, but there's just not enough evidence to recommend that. Again, insurance doesn't test it. It's not as validated as some other tests. There are some potential concerns with it. I don't recommend doing that either. All right. What is ultimate solution for autism? Amber, and I say this with no judgment. I say no judgment here, but the autism doesn't need a solution. Autism needs love, acceptance, and support. And we want the best for our kids with autism. We want them to progress, but wording like solution and cure and reverse and Wagner, you're going crazy with these. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the hat and mustache. That really does mean the world, Wagner. I appreciate that. Yeah. So these are things. The MTHFR gene as well is not something that you need to worry about. I mean, you can, but just know that like 50% of the population has a variant of the MTHFR, and it's what it indicates to do is not correlated with autism. Again, that's not something a doctor is typically gonna focus on. So please just put your effort. And guys, the reason I'm not trying to make your life difficult. As an autism parent, you want answers. You want to do everything you can for your child. But society and TikTok and the world is going to make you feel constantly like you're not doing enough. They're going to make you feel like there's one more thing that you need to try, something your doctor hasn't thought of, something that you have to just hear from an influencer that you are desperate to have your child cared for. And you got to be cautious. Like I will absolutely adjust my messaging as more evidence comes out. I will definitely within the next year, how I talk about leucovorin will be different. Right now about leucovorin, I say I am optimistic, I'm excited, but not ready to jump on it yet. We don't recommend it. No pediatric board recommends it yet. But if within the next year the research is going to change, it's either going to be an established intervention that we're going to recommend to people, or it's going to be like, hey, it didn't pan out and the evidence wasn't clear and it's not something we recommend. And so I'm going to change and evolve how we talk as research evolves. But I'm also very protective of your time as an autism parent, your resources, because we don't have enough time or money or resources to be doing things that don't have the biggest impact for our kids. Over on the YT platform, I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions here. We have a comment over on the YT platform. Today I decided to stop going to therapy because I feel like I need help, but I have no idea what I need help with. So my therapist was just kind of stuck. I never really know how I feel or why. Okay, you don't need to be leading your therapy sessions. So you may need a new therapist. If you feel like you are stuck there trying to lead therapy instead of your therapist guiding you through it and digging into what to help you with, you may need a new therapist. All right, you guys, let's bring another person up and continue to have some of these conversations. All right, Ty, hello. You're up here. How are you doing and where are you from?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thanks. I'm from the UK. What about you?
Wonderful. I'm in Utah. Lexi is in Arizona.
Hello. Nice to meet you both.
Hello. What can we
Nice to
help
meet
you
you.
with?
Yeah, it was just like around the use of kind of like the word symptoms. I was wondering why you use like the symptoms of autism, like where that derives from, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good question. So the diagnostic criteria in the DSM identifies the signs or symptoms of autism. I kind of use it interchangeably. I could definitely be convinced to change how I use those terms, because I definitely don't like autism to be talked about as a disease that needs to be cured. And I could hear how symptoms could reflect that. Is that where your mind is going when you hear symptom?
Yeah, basically, like I associate it, I guess, more with like mental health conditions or physical health conditions. When you talk about like going to the doctor for like symptoms of an illness.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I had that question, because I kind of associate autism more with like characteristics and behaviors.
Traits, right? Might be
Yeah,
traits.
or traits.
Yeah. I'll definitely be mindful of how I talk about that. Are you what connects you to autism? Are you a professional? Do you have autism? Do you have a child with autism?
I do
Just
some work with autistic people
oh, nice.
in my job,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was my only question. I've
Well,
only been watching the stream for about 5 10 minutes, so I haven't been on before. But
Well, thank you so much for coming up, and that's a good question. It's a good thing to be aware of, because our language around autism matters, and I don't want people thinking that autism is the same as a disease, that it's something that you acquire later in life, that it's something that you can get rid of, that's something to be cured, or something that you can catch from someone, and our language of how we talk about it definitely matters.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you, Ty.
take care then.
All right,
Bye.
take care. All right, you guys. I don't know. What do you think in the chat? Is symptom a word that should be used? I don't know. I don't even know if I say symptom a lot. Do I say symptom a lot, Lexi?
I don't think so, but I think the way that we use it is a little bit different than when you go into like a doctor's office to like say I have a symptom of this or I might be sick because of this. I think like the characteristics and the traits, which is something I was talking to Ty in the chat about. So I'm glad he got up here and was able to like get the information that we were for what we were doing, but it's when we say symptoms, we don't mean like symptoms like a disease or a sickness. We mean symptoms like characteristics or traits. So maybe we should start using like characteristics or traits as opposed to saying
Or
symptoms because
signs. I think I
now
usually
it's
say
like, yeah,
signs of autism. Like that's really what you're
yeah.
looking for is what are some of the signs. But yeah, I'm gonna keep thinking on that one and be mindful of when I say things. And for those listening, just be aware. I think what's more important is how we overall talk about autism, and it definitely is not something to be cured, that can be cured, or is something that that should be cured. It is a difference that needs support and love and acceptance. And we want our kids and people with autism to be loved and supported. But I also, there's so many things on my mind as I talk about autism, because the other thing is there's a lot of people who are autistic. Most people prefer to be referred to as an autistic person, not a person with autism. And that goes through my mind a lot too. But I think the bigger thing is what are the words we're saying after that? And if someone brings up to us their preferences, are we acknowledging that? And so I try to be as inclusive and understanding, and I also ask forgiveness from everyone when I say something the wrong way. I'm doing my best here. All right, you guys. Neurodivergent. Yeah, that's a great. You can say neurodivergent. It encompasses more though. It typically also includes ADHD. All right, you guys. We can bring up another person if people have questions. All right, Zoe. Let's bring Zoe up. Zoe, where are you from?
UK also.
Oh, wonderful. Well, Zoe, how can we help you today? What questions do you have?
So my question is a little bit intertwined with something else. So I have two autistic children. One is 7 years old and one is 3 years old, just turned 3. My 7-year-old is nonverbal. He has profound complex needs, is what we refer to him specifically over here. Over the last 2 years, Ruben has been struggling with having certain things a way that he wants them. So he's always done a lot of lining up and that kind of thing. It's very visually stimulating for him. Over the last 2 years, he's started to open cupboard drawers and like cabinet doors, and these all have to be open all the time.
Wow.
If I shut them, he gets very distressed and dysregulated, and he self-harms.
Wow.
Ruben has self-harmed since he was about 2 years old, maybe even before that.
How old is he now?
He's 7, so he turns 7 New Year's Eve. It's his birthday. He's got a very good birthday.
Oh yeah, that's easy to keep track of. Are you?
Yeah.
So what happens when you go and close the drawers and stuff, the doors?
So he will self-harm. So this for Ruben will look like he will, and I'm sorry if this is quite abrupt for people who are listening, but this is our life, so I don't want to kind of cloud that, but just to pre-warn people. So Ruben will punch himself, he will poke himself to the point where he leaves bruises, he will destroy things in the house, and he doesn't typically hurt people, but me being his safe person and his main caregiver, he will go for me. So I've had training, which is over here, it's called breakaway training, and this is because Ruben will grab hold of my hair, and of course I don't want to cause any harm to him, so I need to know how to safely remove those holds. So this is something that's progressing over the last 2 years, and I'm really struggling to have somebody listen to me. I really feel like this is more just than, again, sorry if I say the wrong thing, but an autism thing, really distresses him. Today I actually had to call a crisis line because he was just really hurting himself. I'm struggling actually to kind of, I guess, get the wording and try to. I just don't want him to fall under, oh, he's just doing, what autistic people do, because I think it's so easy to clump together a group of people. And I want him to be seen as him,
Yes. Oh my gosh. You're going through it right now. You are going through it. What support do you have at home? Are you are you married? Do you have other people living with you? Do you have family around? What's your village look
So
like?
I am a single parent, but Ruben's dad is very, very much involved. He's a wonderful dad. He completely understands Ruben throughout. So we do have his support.
So
In
does
terms
that
of
mean you get some days off then that he goes with dad some days?
yeah, so dad works full time. So in the holidays, it's extremely more difficult. But he will come over and do like night shifts as well, because Ruben also doesn't really sleep that well. I'm also currently going through trying to get assessments for myself for ADHD and ASD.
Wow.
So there's a lot going on all the time, and
Dealing with
I
a
love
child
my
with high
life.
support needs and autism, as someone potentially with ASD and ADHD. I mean, you're going through it right now, Zoe. And I look your feelings of burnout and overwhelm and uncertainty. Those are extremely valid. How is he communicating right now? Is he does he have words that he can use?
So Ruben he's actually started to try and say mama. So this one's a special one for me. But Ruben will actually say go. So he says go like this. And that's something we've both been working on. That's a word I use to him when I'm touched out and overstimulated myself. So he understands what that word means completely. He doesn't use this every day, but there are moments, where he does use it, and it's all in context. So he's also started to pull me in for a kiss, and then he'll push me away.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I have believed that's his way of saying I love you, but
Yes.
I don't want
Look,
you in my
oh my
space
gosh,
right now.
affection looks so different for our kids with autism, and it's not always a hug, it's not always snuggles. Sometimes it's a look, it's a proximity thing that they want to be next to you, but not touching, but next to you. I mean, you gotta look at what their intent is with it, and I want you to know that as communication increases, we do often see behavior concerns go down. And so focusing on that is critical of the communication. And even if that means going to sign, I don't know if you've tried sign or if you've tried any other like picture exchange systems or like an AAC device, like using an iPad to communicate.
So we have pictures, and I primarily use this for helping him to go on to the next task, or give him warning that we'll be going to the bathroom and we're going to change. In school, they call them pads or nappies, diapers, however you refer to them, because he really struggles to, he needs lots and lots of time to process what's going on. His school had said his attainment level was about of an 18-month-old, so very mindful of not putting too much on him, but he's very good at communicating. He will take my hand and he will tell me in however way.
He's showing communicative intent. That is huge. If he's hand leading, he is learning that he can control his environment, and that is big. Just so you know. Here's the thing: is with our kiddos, especially when they have higher support needs, those little bits of progress is what keeps us going, and we love seeing that. Look, I don't know the UK and their whole support system, and I wish I knew it better to have better resources for you. If you were in the United States, I would say your son needs as many hours as possible of ABA therapy, and I know that's not available widespread in the UK, but In the United States, I mean, that would look like 30 hours a week of someone one-on-one working with your kid on working on communication and skills. But
We have therapists in school, but Ruben has just been discharged from over here. It's called CAMS, which is like Children's Mental Health, and they work closely with him.
they discharged him.
Unfortunately, they discharged
Why?
him. Yeah. Basically, what his CAMS worker had said is that I do everything that they ask me to do, and that they would. And at the time, I really understood, like, okay, well, I'm doing great, but actually, you know, especially in times like this where there's no school support and I don't have anyone that's physically able to care for him, I get a bit stuck. So
Yeah.
the crisis line was really helpful. They actually called my doctor, like my GP, and they called me back today to try and get a re-referral, but the list is very long. So
Yes, it is. It is
going.
long. Let me tell you, one of the things that I want to do right now is everyone in the comments, you just give hearts, please, for Zoe. Please put hearts in there. Just know that, like, we are part of your village now, Zoe. I don't know how long you've been a listener. We haven't been on TikTok all that long, just like 2 or 3 months. But you got a village here, and whether or not you have physical support, you got support that anytime you're on here and you need a little boost, come on here. Let us know you're here, and we'll all show your love to you because we're in this with you. And we have a Facebook group, we have a Discord chat. We are here for you.
Hey, I just happened to come across your live literally 5 minutes, 10 minutes ago. So I'm definitely going to give a follow. And I'm supposed to fall upon you today, apparently. So
yes, look, we are here for you. We care about you. We are part of your village. The other part, I'm a board certified behavior analyst, so I actually run a company in the United States that supports people with autism, and we do ABA therapy. And so another thing that I want you to do is when you look at your child's behavior, I want you to look at what is Ruben trying to communicate to you, and how can we give him a word or a way to communicate that need instead of the problem behavior. So if he wants the cupboard doors open and you close it and he gets upset, what he's trying to communicate there is open. And if we could have some way to teach him and to have him say the word open instead of hitting himself, that is going to go a long ways. And so always be looking for that replacement behavior. I wish that you were here in Utah. My company would be over there today, and I'd get someone there to support you like today because you need it. And I just don't know the support and what that looks like in the UK, but I do know that this village here supports you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and for listening to me.
Of course.
Zoe, if you'd like to join our support groups, whether it be our Facebook or Discord, the links are in the bio. Definitely join our support groups. We have these conversations all the time, and there are some people out there that have some really good advice that we can give you, and maybe you can take some of that advice. It might work with your child, it might not, but there's always like a million people commenting different advice. So definitely a good place to be if you can.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I would definitely. I'm always up for new friends, and of course, I want to help my child.
Well, whether
in every
you like
way.
it or not, you got new friends here today. So,
Yeah.
Zoe, thanks for being here.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Take care.
All right, you guys. What a wonderful mother, and man, I'm just so sorry for all you're going through. It's a lot, you guys. For those just joining in, if you're new here, if you just came across me today, just know that we handle these things with love, not judgment. We're here for support. I'm an autism dad. I got 2 kids diagnosed with autism. And it's frustrating because my son seems to be having more and more higher support needs. And the past week, I haven't been very open about this, but he has become very, very aggressive. He has been, and not maliciously, not when he's upset necessarily, but we went to a party on Sunday, and with all of his little cousins, and he just hit every single one. And it's getting harder and harder to take him into public. And Like, I wish I could come on here and say I have everything figured out. I am in the middle of this like you guys. This is hard. I'm up at night. I'm stressed. There are days that I am burnt out. And going live, it helps me more than it's helping you guys. And I love having the support and the love that this group has. And I go live on a daily basis. So if you're not following yet, make sure that you hit the follow button right there so you can see when we go live. Usually it's around noon Eastern time. And we usually go for a couple hours. So, Lexi, do you have anything else you want to say today before we end the live for the day?
I do. I want to invite anybody who is in Arizona to check out my page. We have an autism awareness event that is happening on Saturday here in Tucson, Arizona. And if you want to know, want to have a place where, it's held by mothers of children who have autism here in Tucson, Arizona. And we have a little event that we're doing for all families, and it's just to learn about autism acceptance, getting the community together, even for people who are not who don't have children have autism. They can come and learn about what autism is. So if you are in Arizona and you don't have anything to do this Saturday, it's gonna be here in Tucson, Arizona from 11 to 2. I have all of the stuff in my on my account. I have a lot of advertisement about it because I'm a part of the group that puts it together every year. So if you want to come through, we would definitely love to have everybody there, anybody who can make it. But definitely, I love the fact that we have this space with you, Kylan, and that you answer these questions and that we can all come together as a community. Even if you're not in Arizona, definitely join our Discord and our Facebook. We would love to have all of you there. We share experiences, good things, bad things, and everything going on. We know this life as a parent is not easy. We support each other on all of those groups. Just like the live, it's no judgment. And I love every single one of you. Thank you so much for being here. And definitely reach us out on Discord or Facebook. We would love to have you and be able to chat a little bit more.
I love that. And tomorrow, from my understanding, is World Autism Awareness Day. And I think a lot of people, is this right? A lot of people are wearing blue tomorrow.
Yes, like a dark royal blue, the autism blue. So it's the same as, I'll put a heart in the comments. This is the like blue color that is associated with it. And so yeah, if you can wear blue tomorrow to show awareness as well as to show support, even if you don't have somebody who has autism, basically this shows that you support people with autism, and it's beautiful to see it.
Yeah, I love it. All right. Thank you all. Just a reminder for tomorrow then on that, to wear blue and show your support for autism. And let's have a good day, you guys. Best of luck to everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow at noon Eastern time. All right. Thank you all. We'll see you later.
Bye. See you tomorrow.